Did you know that in ancient Rome, public toilets had no stalls, and the sponge you wiped with was shared by everyone, rinsed in vinegar and reused daily? That a father could legally kill his own child if he saw fit. No trial, no justice, just law. This isn't the Rome of marble statues and golden laurel wreaths. This is the real Rome, raw, ruthless, and roaring with power. Let's dive into the world that built an empire and buried its own humanity along the way. The Roman Empire was a machine, and people were its gears. If you were poor, you likely lived in a cramped wooden apartment building called an insula, where fires, collapse, and disease were common. Running water? Unlikely. Privacy? Non-existent. Yet the Romans built aqueducts, bringing millions of liters of water into the city each day, mostly for the wealthy. Women weren't citizens. They couldn't vote. A woman's status depended entirely on her father or husband. And forget romantic dinners. Roman food for the lower class was mostly porridge, stale bread, or boiled beans. Cleanliness. Romans were obsessed with bathing, but the public baths were more about gossip, politics, and business, and sometimes disease. Blood wasn't hidden. It was celebrated. The Colosseum, Rome's greatest arena, could seat over 50,000 people. And they didn't come for plays. They came for slaughter. Gladiators fought to the death. Criminals were burned alive or fed to lions, and naval battles were reenacted by flooding the arena. Even the streets told stories of control. Crucifixion was a public warning. Bodies left hanging for days, sometimes weeks. And behind every noble's wealth, slaves. Millions of them, captured from every conquered land, forced to cook, clean, fight, or even serve as human furniture. Rome's greatness was fueled by ambition and stained by betrayal. The Roman Republic once prided itself on shared governance through the Senate, but that ended when Julius Caesar defied tradition. He crossed the Rubicon with his army, seized power, and declared himself dictator for life. Days later, he was assassinated, stabbed 23 times by men he called allies. His adopted son, Octavian, rose as Augustus, the first emperor. From then on, emperors ruled like gods, often unchecked. Some were brilliant, but others were monstrous. Nero allegedly played music as Rome burned. Caligula turned madness into policy, making his horse a priest and executing people for sport. Paranoia infected the palace. Poisonings, conspiracies, and assassinations became routine. Few emperors died naturally. In the halls of Roman power, betrayal was tradition, and survival meant striking first or dying suddenly. Rome's legions weren't just soldiers, they were tools of domination. Each Roman soldier carried over 80 pounds of gear, marched up to 20 miles a day, and built fortified camps every night. Discipline was everything. Cowardice could lead to decimation, a brutal punishment where 1 in 10 men was executed by their fellow soldiers. But this harsh system worked. With unmatched organization and engineering, Rome conquered territories across Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. Roads were built to move armies faster. Forts, walls, and siege weapons followed. Cities fell. Resistance was crushed. Rome didn't just win battles, they erased threats. Conquered peoples were enslaved, temples burned, and cultures absorbed or destroyed. Yet, through this violence came legacy. Roman law, architecture, and military strategy shaped the very foundations of the Western world. But every road they built was paved in blood.